everybody. We are live again. So welcome. I'm trying to do this every Sunday at 1:30. So if you're planning on tuning in, that's when I will be here. Ixie's here too. So as always, we're going to talk about film decodes and how that affects you in your ascension process and accelerates your ascension process. And specifically, I want to start talking about the substance because I released that decode last week, and I found it incredibly enlightening. It was quite a powerful film, and we were discussing in the discussion. We were discussing in the film discussion group today. Will Smith. We're doing a review of several of his films right now, like we did with Donald Sutherland. So now we're moving on to Will Smith, and we did Pursuit of Happiness, and next week we'll be doing Hitch, and it's particularly revealing the insights that we gain from these films and how we're comparing the revelations around the different actors and different characters that they portray and how that relates to us personally. And specifically, as we're reviewing these films, how they bring up personal things in our own lives at that time. So, for example, one of the things that happened for me was when we were watching Donald Sutherland's films. One of the films we watched was Don't Look Now, and that was filmed in or released in 1973. And while I was watching that film, I was watching Life on Mars, which was taking place in 1973. And the film that, okay, this is an added layer that I didn't recognize when we were in the discussion group, was The Pursuit of Happiness was filmed in 2006, and it took place in 1981. And I'm watching Ashes to Ashes, which starts out and was shot in 2006 and took place in 1981. Weird. It's really weird. So, some of these things will come up in the discussion to see how they relate to your own life. And that's just one example. These synchronicities or indicators, themes that are playing out in your life at the moment as you're watching them. And this film was particularly deep and insightful beyond what you would expect. It's not just about a man who's trying to become a stockbroker. So, like this week, I did a decode on the substance. And as I said in the decode, I don't normally do horror films because I don't like them. But I actually did enjoy this film, and I found it particularly important. It's heavily important, especially relevant to what is happening now. On Tuesday, we have an election. So I'm not going to talk about that too much because I'm going to be talking about that particularly in the podcast. But I'm seeing that theme play out in multiple events and multiple examples about what's happening right now. So that sort of thing is common, and what is powerful about decoding in terms of revealing what's happening now, revealing what's to come, revealing what's going on with you personally, those sorts of things. And it also helps to accelerate your ascension process. And for me personally, it's been a huge accelerator in the ascension process. So the substance, for example, it is such a powerful film I think, in the physical representation of the ascension process, and the separation and reunification of the feminine, and it was about the feminine specifically with her lower and higher self. So that to me was fantastic. Um, hello, Leaves of Grass is here. Nice to see you. Coco, good to see you too. And Warren Jackson, hello. And Natasha. But I already said hi to Natasha, so but I should say hello on camera too. The movies Requiem for a Dream, Dark City, and Mr. Nobody are connected. I don't know in which order though. Have you seen Mr. Nobody? Labyrinth is also connected to that same story. I have seen Mr. Nobody and Labyrinth. I haven't seen Dark City or Requiem. And in what way do you see them as being connected? Because this is what I was showing in my video in 2020, the story of your life, how the movies are connected, the movies and the actors and the characters, and they're overlapping and connected, telling the one story. And this is the story that I'm telling you and showing you in every video. So I'm noticing as well how actors are playing continuous roles. They're moving from movie to movie, and that is reflective of where they are, like in what world they're in. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Not long till showtime. Yeah, you're talking about the election, I'm guessing, because I just mentioned that. I've watched The Substance 3 times now. Very thought-provoking, and not a Demi fan, but she did a good job basically playing herself. Yeah. Jennifer Connelly's in Dark City. Yeah, I've seen clips of Dark City, and I'm not sure. I think I tried to watch it. I don't think I finished it. So I'm familiar with some of it, and I've seen people decode it or refer to it in several videos. So I'm familiar with some aspects of the film. But if you're talking about how, like, isn't Jennifer Connelly also in Mr. Nobody? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Nicole Kidman must be digitized. She's in new movies on multiple platforms. Jennifer Connelly's in Requiem with Jared Leto? Okay. Yeah, so this is what I'm noticing. So for example, like you can follow a certain actor and you can see that they played a role in certain film. Like for Donald Sutherland, we did 4 of his films, but we randomly picked it from various decades in sequence. So 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And you can see how the natural progression from one film to the other makes perfect sense in terms of why he's there, why he's in that story, why we're seeing him play that role in that story. So I think this is true for everybody, because I've seen it with Johnny Depp, I've seen it with Donald Sutherland, and I've seen it with Florence Pugh. And so this is the fact that I'm seeing this over and over again with multiple actors says to me this is how the story works basically. But the story's like kind of an illusion, because they're reflective of the present moment. So like with Johnny Depp, which is what I'm showing in his video series, he is playing out, just as you are playing out, all of his past lives in his current life. So all of the little tangents are touching on all of your past lives now, which is why all time is now, like everything is happening now. It's just they appear to be like branches off into another life, which they are. Jennifer Connelly is said to play Jupiter, JC Jesus Christ. Requiem for a Dream and Dark City are right after the other. I can't tell in which order. Leaves of Grass, I'm trying very diligently to find a way to watch We Live in Time. No luck. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I saw that when it was last week. It was interesting. It's got truth in it, like I said, but I wouldn't say that it's obvious. It's not as obvious, certainly, as Don't Worry, Darling. So, but it's worth watching. I enjoyed it. It's a good film. It works like Cloud Atlas. I'm not familiar with Cloud Atlas. I've seen it, but I saw it so long ago I don't remember it. Can you refresh my memory? What do you mean by it works like Cloud Atlas? Yeah, probably would. Probably would love Cloud Atlas. There's a lot of movies that I should probably another look at similar to that. But it's about reincarnation. A star plays a different person each decade. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what like each movie represents a separate life. Obviously, you're playing a different character and a different story, but the actor is the same. So the actor is playing the same role per se, and it's all a consistent theme in that actor's real life. So they cannot escape who they are. There are certain roles that they will never get cast in because they do not fit that role because it's not who they are. So they won't ever get cast as that. And a lot of actors get frustrated because they say that they can play anybody, but you can't. You can't play anybody. So you're going to get cast in roles that fit your the god that you are. A literal star in each human also evolves each decade into a better version. Yep. So Tom Hanks's character as a human starts off evil, in each story he learns a lesson and becomes better each incarnation. Makes sense. But you are also following a star, and the star is the main character of each story. Yep, makes sense for sure. Cloud Atlas is streaming in Paramount. I'll watch later. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah. So yeah, I'll watch that for sure. I'll rewatch that. Those stars a tattoo, so you know which one is the star. That's interesting. So it kind of sounds a bit similar to The Substance because Demi Moore was playing the star. That was her story. And so the movie starts out with a star and ends with a star. And she literally merges with her star, which is the Ascension process. So she's completed her story. Everything the star does helps the world in small ways that have large impacts. Well, of course it does, because it's the star. the world is the creation of the star, so the world would have an impact as a result of the changes that the star goes through. So the humans are reincarnating, and the star is also reincarnating into the humans. Fascinating. That would be definitely an interesting to look at and to decode. So so has everybody watched The Substance? And it's made by the people who made The Matrix. Oh, of course it is. Those people know everything. Oh man. I gotta do a decode of I hesitate. Okay, so like there's the big movies that everybody decodes, right? Like The Matrix and like The Wizard of Oz and Dark City, um, Donnie Darko, those sorts of things. I think it's worthwhile doing some of them. Like I think I have in the back of my mind that I want to do Donnie Darko. it just it's such a heavy film that I don't see it being an easy decode to do. I think it will be very time consuming. I mean, I could do just a commentary, but to do it justice, I think it needs a a heavy load. So, I don't know. I have so many other things that I have to get to. So it's there. It's on my list. But yeah, I think Cloud Atlas is kind of bumped to the top of the list at the moment from the sounds of it. So I find it very interesting that you notice the crossover between those films. And I wonder too, like, yeah, I think so. I think the more you're aware of the one story and decoding and how all of that works, the more you'll see the crossover between everything. Like even today, we were watching The Pursuit of Happiness, and time was a recurring theme, and they referred to like Will Smith's character, Chris Gardner, was carrying a device that was a bone density device, and some homeless, mindless hippie called it a time travel machine or time machine. And so the reference to the time machine and also the fact that it's a bone density machine ties it back to the future. Um, I mean, you could argue that it's kind of a thin connection, but it's still a connection. And so the time machine being the DeLorean and Back to the Future, and then the mention of what's the guy's name? The father approaches Lorraine with his letter, and he says to her, Lorraine, you are my destiny, but he says density instead. So density and destiny are like an anagram of each other. So the sort of connection there, because like that, Lorraine, you are my density, and he's into space and science fiction, and this is about time travel, sort of plays on that theme of the 3D world and the density of it, and but it's the destiny of it as well. Like you can't escape the destiny, nor can you escape the density. I love The Pursuit of Happiness. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was really good. It was just on a surface popcorn level, it can be frustrating, but yeah, when you're looking at it from the perspective that we look at films, it's fascinating, fantastic film. When watching The Substance, I found it was weirdly like the movie The Joker, the first one. They both end on a TV show. Which Joker? That's a good point. It ending on a TV show. because she's on a stage and they're filming this New Year's Eve countdown um, presentation. And this is great because there's going to be things that I don't mention in decodes because I can't catch everything, and I also want to leave space for you to see things that I didn't point out. So thanks for mentioning this because it also shows how we're in a TV show. So she is the star of the show, the spotlight's on her, and everyone was waiting for her. And but anyway, so she's on the stage, the world stage, and the guy in the audience, which is Dennis Quaid, makes it all about him. This is my creation. I made her. And so she shows up, and I guess is a big disappointment, you could say. Um, as far as Dennis Quaid is concerned, the movie The Joker, he switches from Arthur to the Joker and embraces the Joker self. Which Joker? Is there only one movie, The Joker? Are we talking about the Joaquin Phoenix Joker? Yeah, okay. I haven't seen that yet. I know it's probably something I should see, but I heard it was quite disturbing. They did make a second one, but I haven't seen it. Okay. I wasn't sure if there was more than one. On the change of subject, if possible, what are your thoughts on XRP? I don't talk about crypto anymore. The economy of the world, do you think things will go bananas soon? I don't make predictions anymore. I appreciate you asking the question, but I don't really understand why you're asking about crypto when I'm not talking about crypto. I haven't talked about crypto in a long time. And yeah, I don't make predictions anymore. I kind of have a sense that things are going to go a little crazy based off of what I see in decodes and what I see coming, and what other people are talking about in terms of, some astrologers have mentioned that there's going to be some kind of uprising, that sort of thing. But in terms of like definite for sure what's going to happen, there's no point in making predictions because they just don't pan out. So what's the point? Like, it just sort of, um, it just sort of, it's going to be what it's going to be. And if it does go bananas, as you say, it's still just the show. So it doesn't really, I don't see it as affecting me personally because I am not part of the show in that aspect. I'm part of this side of the show, which is the truth show. And, like if you want to call it a show, but like the whole world is a show. We're on a TV show. Everything that we do is on a TV show. So you can be part of any aspect of that TV show, whatever suits you. I do not want to be part of whatever happens as a result of perhaps what happens on Tuesday. It's not of interest to me. Um, but yeah, there's two Joaquin Phoenix Joker movies. Quite interesting to think about what they're doing with them. Journeyman. Really? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was a sequel or not. So thanks for filling us in on that. But yeah, I heard it was quite a bit of a disturbing film, the first Joker. Most call it a circus, others call it a TV show. It's what the movie The Greatest Showman is about. Yeah, it is a circus. It's a circus for sure. It's a circus, it's a movie, it's a TV show. It is all of these things simultaneously. Um I know maybe like to some people that might be hard to grasp that it's all those things at once, but it is. It's also to some people it's a prison, to some people it's a school, to some people it's a game. It's all sorts of things. That's why people call it a clown world. Totally. Like the allegory of the circus, with the big top being the stars, the dome, and or the torus field, and also, you've got in the big top, you have the center vortex. You have all the animals and the crazy lunatic wild weirdos on display. You have the audience, which is basically everybody else in the world, not you. And you have the man who's the ringleader, who is wearing the big top, who runs the show. And so yeah, like all of this is just representative of the infrastructure of this world, the big top tourist field that we're in. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Joyful to be here. Yeah. It's funny, I've heard people say, "Not my clown, not my circus" lately, and usually it's "Not my pig, not my farm." I don't I don't really like that phrase to me because it's just like, uh, I remember somebody using the "not my pig, not my farm" phase in advertising, and it's just kinda like, well, I'm not gonna take responsibility for that, and I just sort of feel like, "Oh, and if it's not anything to do with you, then just leave it. Why do you need to say that?" But that's just my bone to pick. Mantis Mosaurus. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Thank you for your answer. Yes, I agree. So, does it feel like synchronicity all the time living outside of the show? It does because you're outside of time. So, everything goes by synchronicity. And like synchronicity is showing all of the connections between what's going on between you and the screen and between you and the show or whatever's happening, and everything runs off synchronicity now as opposed to clock time. I mean, you still have to observe clock time from time to time. Like you have to be certain places by a certain time, so that in that respect you observe time, but the way in which you live your life is based off of synchronicity. It's not based off of um, the calendar or the months or the year or the hours. That becomes kind of irrelevant. It's more to do with feeling and energy and state and um, the story reflected back to you. That's more your concern. When I watched The Zero Theorem, that movie is all allegory, not much of a real story. The character Q leaves the church into a circus, and I understood immediately what it was talking about. It's weird how some movies seem abstract, but when you know what it's saying, it's an entirely different movie. Yeah, exactly. Like this is why a lot of mainstream audiences don't understand certain films. Like Don't Worry Darling, people had a very strong reaction to it, didn't like it because they didn't understand it. Same with The Substance, the ending of The Substance. A lot of people had a very strong reaction to the ending in particular. They said they liked it up until a point, but the ending went too far. The ending was perfect. It had to be that way. And I understand why mainstream audiences would see the ending as over the top and unnecessary and going too far, but it had to it had to be that way. There was no other way for that to end. So it's because they don't know what the story actually is. That's why. So yeah, I mean, it's really much more fun watching movies and TV shows this way from my perspective. So it's also much more fun watching your own life this way and understanding what your own screen is telling you. That's way more fascinating. joyful to be here. It's more a reminder to self. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying, nah, not my circus, not my monkeys, meaning you're not part of this world type of thing. But you are part of this world. That's the thing. It's like it's a reflection of you. So you're part of this world, you're in this world, and this is another I guess misunderstanding being in interpreting what this world is. And um one of the interpretations is that, be in this world and not of it, or be of this world and not in it. Either way, whatever way you choose to interpret it, you are part of this world because you can't escape it, because it is you. So I would the way in which you would probably more accurately interpret it at this point. See, what are you doing? Come on. Would be more like it's an illusion because we think it's three-dimensional and physical, but it's really just a reflection of what's going on within me. Meaning it's not what it appears to be. So, but you're in it. It's part of you. You can't escape it. And at least not in this current form, I guess, this current awareness. So you have to change your perception and your awareness in order to potentially wake yourself up on the other side. So it's kind of like when you're in a dream. When you're in a dream, it is you, it's your dream, you're having the dream, and you're in the dream, but you're not, come on, Ixie. You're not, it's not the real world. So, and that's probably a better way of interpreting that explanation. Hey, Ixie, come on. Come on. Come on. Same with the movie The Holy Mountain, weird abstract movie that ends telling you it's a TV show. Okay. I've never heard of that movie. Sounds interesting. A lot of people don't like The Joker 2 and Megalopolis. I might have to see it. Yeah, I find that that's a good measuring stick if the masses don't like it. Especially if it's loud. Like, the reaction is very strong. If it's like a quiet, like the movie flops or something and you don't really hear about it, may or may not hit. But if people have a very loud, visceral reaction to a movie, like they did with Don't Worry, Darling, and the ending of The Substance, then it's probably an indicator that it's a really good esoteric film to watch. So, Natasha, thanks for hitting the like button, y'all. Yes, that'd be nice. Hit the like button. Mantis Mauserus, well, that explains it. It is all the time constant dance with the universe. It is, for sure, yeah, because it's you. Journeyman, Joker 2 zags when the audience expects it to zig. It's almost guaranteed to annoy the mainstream audience. So much moon symbolism in there also. Oh, okay. I haven't seen Mega... Ixie, come on. No. Come on. Here. Come say hi. Here. So, yeah, I haven't seen Megalopolis either, but I saw it on my list. I think I might watch it because it looks kind of interesting. Reactions suggest that there's a layer in there that most people aren't getting. What are they saying? Any idea? Can you tell us what kind of reactions they're giving? Okay, are you done? Okay. Down you go. I'm not aware of what they're saying. I should probably pay attention. But what I was watching, I've been watching Ashes to Ashes still. I'm still not finished that. It's heavy. It's one of those shows you have to take slowly. And I'm also decoding the rest of Severance because I want to finish that before the second season comes out. The second season is coming out January 17th, and I've seen the trailer and it's really interesting. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a live chat discussion after each episode in the Discord. So if you want to be part of that, you want to become a member, you can be part of that. Just join the Discord. Once you become a member, there'll be a link in the email. I haven't seen Megalopolis. Oh, yours did that. The comments about the narrative being confusing or there being sequences that aren't necessary. Yeah, that sounds like it's pointing in the right direction for sure. So I'm gonna put that on my list as well. Like the Megalopolis and Cloud Atlas. I tried watching Zero Theorem. It's a strange film though, so I might give it another shot. Remember, Mark, I only throw you what you can handle. You know what makes this world a good place or hell? The people. Severance. Well, the people are reflections or projections of you pushed out. So meaning you create your own personal hell or your own personal heaven. So I only throw you what you can handle. Was that Mrs. Selvig or Mrs. Coble who said that, Coco? Ooh, excuse me. I've been up since 5. It's starting to catch up to me. Also, some disbelief at various ideas or themes within the story. Of course, it could just be a bad movie, but I think it's likely laden with symbolism. I'm paraphrasing. Okay. Well, that sounds good still. But yeah, when they talk about those sorts of things, it does sound like it is laden with symbolism. So I guess we'll find out together, won't we? Yeah, Zero Theorem is all allegory. What are your thoughts on Ghibli animations? I'm not familiar with it. I don't think I'm familiar with it. Thanks for the link, Natasha. If you want to become a member, join the Discord group, go to truelove.com. Yeah, and if you want to go straight to the page, truelove.com/membership. And it's True Love with a 0 for the love, the O. I also love Studio Ghibli. Brings a tear to the eye in a good way. It's a Japanese studio behind Spirited Away, Boy and the Heron, Princess Mononoke. I probably pronounced that wrong. Spirited Away is the most famous Studio Ghibli movie. I don't think I'm familiar. But thanks for mentioning it. Sounds like some good stuff. Ixie. I don't know why you're acting this way. I fed you. Come on. Come on. And the boy and the heron is very revealing. Oh, that's cool. Beautiful animated movies. Highly recommend. I think you'd love Spirited Away. I probably will. Yeah. It's nice to hear these like animated short films that are, I'm guessing they're shorts. Is that what you said? They're short films. That are not just I Pet Goat 2, because everybody's seen that one and talks about it. Ixie, come here. Oh, they're feature length. Okay. My favorite is Kiki's Delivery Service. It's about a witch who starts a delivery service. Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay. This is Japanese Disney. Well, it sounds great. Thanks for mentioning it. I came across a normie, I think it was a YouTube channel, talking about um, talking about fairy tales, especially like children's nursery rhymes and fairy tales and that sort of thing, and Disney movies, and quite a few quite a few people, especially like in the conspiracy circles, or as soon as you come through the awakening process and you get pointed to all of the symbolism in these films, people get angry about it and boycott it, not knowing that they're full of truth. And I've seen some comments from mothers saying that they're not going to read their children nursery rhymes or anything like things like Cinderella and Snow White, especially. They're especially angry about those stories, believing that the surface level is all there is to the stories. And I think that's a tragedy, because the reason that we know what we know so readily and easily is because those stories have been ingrained in us from childhood, and they go straight to the subconscious. And so once you start to see these connections, you know what it is, because it's already in you. The story's already there, and it's easy to refer to because everybody has read Snow White, Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella. Everybody is familiar with those stories, whether you're a boy or a girl. When you're a kid, you watch them. This is Disney. So you it would be a shame for people nowadays to not show their kids these things. Come on. See? Come on, get out of there. Come on. Hey. I know. Come on. Out. Come on. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. All nursery rhymes speak the truth. Absolutely, Coco. Humpty Dumpty is about the world egg cracking. Twinkle, twinkle, how I wonder what you are. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're so simple, and they're so easy to remember. It's it's already there. It's ready for you when you need it, and that's what it's there for. But everybody gets all bent out of shape because you know Snow White lives her whole life to get kissed by a prince, or Cinderella needs to be saved and rescued by a prince. And it's like, sorry, but we live in a fairy tale. It's time you actually realized it, and that there's truth to that. There's truth to how this world works, and it's being shown to you in these fairy tales. Hey, come on. Mirror, mirror on the wall is a Mandela effect for me, Journeyman. Yeah, it's a Mandela effect for a lot of people. I mean, that's because a lot of people say that outside of the context of the film, but for sure, I can understand why. But yeah, the movie Labyrinth is good when it comes the fairy tales, or when it gets to the fairy tales. Yeah, Labyrinth is a strange film. Like, I watched it again in 2020, and on the surface, it's not particularly a good film. And I think the reason that it resonates with a lot of people is probably because it hits the subconscious, and we're not really realizing it. We're not aware of it. So it's connecting to the core of us, and there's something about it that we enjoy and we like, but it's on the surface as a movie, it's not that great. It's kind of weird. There's a couple of movies that are like that, and you watch them again, and you're like, "What? Why is this so popular?" Oh, the other one was Never Ending Story. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. I think Labyrinth on the surface is a better film than Never Ending Story. Ixie, come on. Come on. Get out of there. Come on. I always love the Coraline, Spirited Away, Alice in Wonderland, Labyrinth, Sex and the City has gone back to Sex and the City. It was always Sex and the City, El Peak, but people mispronounced it and said it was Sex in the City. But anyway, I don't particularly like talking about Mandela effects because I think it's a psyop and people get very heated, and I have no interest in arguing with people about it. Have you come across a movie in the Company of Wolves? Interesting take on the fairy tales. I haven't actually. Thanks for letting me know about it. I haven't heard of it. I did want to watch Grimm's Fairy Tales when that came out. I tried watching it. I think it came out 2006-ish or something, right at the same time as Once Upon a Time. But it took to it. There was something about it. It just didn't really go the way I was expecting it to go or hoping it to go. And I think it was because it was it trying to be a cop show or something? But an excellent show for fairy tales is Once Upon a Time. That show is fantastic. It shows so much truth. Should probably do some talk on it, but it's just such a big show. There's like, come on. That's what I was afraid of. Sorry about that. I knew that was going to happen. She has to get in there and mess with everything. And, anyway. Okay, we're back. You've been watching 90s dark fantasy. You missed the style they had. Yeah, like some of the old films have some really great, there's some really great styles because they used to film on film as opposed to digital. So nowadays everything's digital. Most things are digital. But I think the time that was invested, and there was a different way they used to spend their money. And they also, well, like the way that things are produced now is very different from the way they were produced then. Obviously, there was less CGI back then. There's more CGI now. And they also don't put the budget in the people anymore so much. Back then they would have hired more people to hair, makeup, wardrobe, extras, that sort of thing. So there's more, I think it was more realistic in a lot of ways. I guess, I mean, obviously it depends on the film. We watched Dragonheart. It was pretty good. I'm not sure I'm familiar with Dragonheart. Movies are a lot more chaotic now. A lot of stuff is going on in recent movies, and it's all bright and quick sensory overload. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the way life is right now, sensory overload. There's too much going on, a lot of flashing lights and busyness and too many quick edits. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that helps the movie speed up are short scenes and quick edits. People don't have any patience to sit there and sit with a scene. And if you look at some of the older films, say from the 70s or the 80s, it breathes more. They let the camera sit and the actors talk, and there's not this like frenzied hurry to have this go 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 all of the time. It's fascinating just to let people sit and talk and let them get out what they need to say. For me, like I like conversation, so listening to people talk or actors talk is I love it. Depending on the conversation, obviously, if it's mindless, I don't want to hear it. But if it's intelligent and insightful, I want to hear it. Interesting that you mention uh, with the dragon heart. Movies are a lot. Oh, yeah, I already read that. When you go to Vegas and there's nothing but flashing lights and sounds that you can't get away from, that's what life is getting to be like. I haven't been to Vegas in a long time. Only went once. That's enough for me. Vegas is just too much noise, and I'm not into gambling or anything like that, so it's not my style. But yeah, it like if you're comparing the world to Vegas, which is like a casino, strip clubs, showgirls, hotels, debauchery. I mean, they don't call it Sin City for nothing. Yeah, the world, I guess you could say, is splitting off, and that aspect of it is worsening. Which I kind of feel like at the end of the substance is what it's showing. Like all that chaos and noise and distractions and entertain me and um hideousness, sin, debauchery, hatred, self-hatred, self-loathing, and hatred projected onto other people. So so there's a lot of emphasis on that right now. Also, the music in the background, there's always music or noise. They won't let a movie scene be quiet for a bit. Yeah, I find I have very little tolerance for music on um, YouTube videos, for example. If somebody's talking and the music does not complement what they're saying, I get very frustrated and impatient and I can't even listen to them. And I've taken music out of a lot of my videos for that reason because I'm finding I don't have a tolerance for it anymore. And like if it suits, if the whole point of music is to emphasize what's already there, not to distract and not to like, because a lot of people think that they're listening to their own voice or just talking is not interesting enough. It is interesting enough. It's kind of distracting to have an undercurrent of music running through everything that you're saying, especially when it doesn't complement what's going on. And when you have a movie doing that, I have a hard time listening listening to the music, especially when there's no dialogue and they fill it full of music for the montage or whatever, and it doesn't really fit. I get really frustrated. In certain TV shows, the music's too loud, and certain um yeah, like Love Is Blind, the music is terrible. It tends to like state the obvious of what's going on in the scene as if which is kind of interesting though, because it's as if the radio or the music in terms of like the world music or the world radio that's observing this scene is playing the soundtrack of your life to that particular scene as you're in it, which sometimes happens to us in real life, sort of like the Truman Show when he's driving around and the radio is talking about what he's doing in real time. I feel like the substance did it on purpose with the brightness and the noise. Oh, for sure. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. But yeah, like there's some shows where it's just too much and it's off balance. I was watching this show called I was watching the show on Prime, and it was about Cary Grant, and the music was way too loud. And it was so loud that it was near impossible to watch. But I don't know if it was actually the television, like the show itself, or whether it was Prime, or whether it was the television we were watching it on, but something was causing the imbalance. It was very strange. So, yeah, so any further comments or questions or anything you want to discuss before I wrap this up? Getting to an hour's time here, and I'm going to wrap this up to bring it to an end. I feel like, is there a movie that really interests you that you want to discuss, like Cloud Atlas or something? And then, we can all watch it and discuss it next week if you want to do something like that. Aliens and ETs. I guess I'd like to say you'd really like Cloud Atlas. Okay, yeah, I'm putting it on my list for sure. Where do the aliens come into this movie? What is your position on aliens and where they come into this movie? Sounds like a great idea with Cloud Atlas. I'm going to watch it today. Okay. So how about we watch Cloud Atlas and discuss it next week? And thanks for the live Friday. You're welcome. It's like the Katy Perry song, E.T. Boy, You're an Alien. Today, yeah. I was like, Friday. Did I do a live on Friday? I don't know. My view on ETs is that it's allegory, but if it's literal, okay, welcome to the party. It'll make the show interesting. I get a lot of messages from Katy Perry songs. I'm not surprised. She's got a lot of symbolism in her videos and such. But I don't listen to Katy Perry. Not recently anyway. Used to years ago. But yeah, I don't know. Like for me, like the aliens, I talk about aliens as the divine feminine because the feminine is Barbara, which is strange woman or alien. And alien, we're seeing the aliens in terms of illegal aliens in the United States as well as England, causing a problem because they represent the feminine. And so we've got all the drama surrounding those types of aliens. And if there is going to be, say, extraterrestrials or aliens from somewhere else, well, we'll see. I don't really believe in aliens. I don't really pay attention to the alien thing. But I'm not closed off to the possibility that that's something that's going to happen. I'm seeing the colors red, yellow, blue, and black showing up in the ends of movies in various forms of symbolism. Well, that's interesting. Mantis, well, they have agendas of their own, I understand, and as I guess they are part of us contributing to this journey. Yeah, like if you look at aliens or, in terms of allegory, they are invaders because they're coming from outside, they're coming from somewhere else. So it could be, if it's the feminine or the subconscious and it's coming from outside, coming from your other self, your true self on the other side, then you could perceive it that way as a foreign entity or invading your consciousness. And so it may manifest in a physical form. Um, anything is possible at this point, right? Usually it's represented with the character's clothing, or the colors. Do you have any idea what it means? Alien also means isolated, to feel alien, to feel different. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's another thing, because if you look at the people who are going through the ascension process, those people are awakened and they have a completely different perception of reality than normal, let's say normies, the people who have 3D physical perception of reality. And so to them, their perception is alien or foreign. And so those people, the awakened ones, would be perceived as alien. And also alien in terms of, um, I guess you could call them ancient aliens, the Anunnaki. They're referred to as alien, and they're the ancient gods, and they're the originals. And those people, or those beings, they're also called the shining ones. And when you become enlightened, you are a shining one. So that's another way of looking at alien in terms of awakened ones. Contributing to our new self, or self new awareness. Yeah. Why so? What are you referring to when you say why so? Why are aliens contributing to our awareness? Is that what you mean? Coco, I watched the animated show Lane. She was a god in the show, but also had an alien version of her. The show Lane also aired on TV when 9/11 happened, along with the show Evangelion. I probably pronounced that wrong too. It's a weird show. I have not heard of Lane. An alien version of her. Well, if you're perceiving your, higher self, or your external self, or your true self, which is on the other side, as alien, then that would be your alien self, wouldn't it? But again, that's the allegory to it. I thought those 4 colors were related to something in the Kabbalah. It could do with the 4 stages of alchemy. I'm not sure about yellow and blue, but black and red for sure. I know, I think there's white, red, black, and maybe yellow. Not sure. 99. Hello, welcome. Decode the movie What Dreams May Come. What Dreams? Is that with Robin Williams? I think I've seen that. Leaves of Grass. No surprise they took the series American Gods off the airwaves. The series was giving us a lot of info. Yeah, it had a lot of info in it, and I imagine it was pretty high budget show with not so great viewership. They shot that in Toronto, and I was an extra on it many times, and it was a pretty high budget show in a lot of ways. I watched a fair amount of it. It just didn't have enough in it for me to want to watch it all the way through. But, let me know if I missed something really important, and I'll go back to it. Journeyman. Leaves of Grass. You could look at the Kircher Tree of Life with the color scheme from the Queen scale from Order of the Dawn, Golden Dawn Crowley, especially colors for Malkuth. Yes, thank you, Journeyman. Yellow and blue like Ukraine. Yellow would be the solar plexus, and blue would be the throat chakra, And for Ukraine, merging the two would be green. So there's that too. Mantis, sorry about the alien existence that you're not certain. As I understood, that's why I wrote why so. Quick responses, you spoke but realized you will read this later. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so you liked it that much that you own the DVDs? That's cool. Is it worth watching to the end? High production values, excellent cast. I haven't completed it, however, I'm so like you on that. Yeah, it started out interesting. Again, it's another show with a little bit too much violence for my liking, but um, it started out okay, and I was interested. The story just didn't grab me enough to keep going. A lot of these movies show symbolism for melanin that's in our medulla oblongata in the back of our heads, which is where chaos is stored. I study melanin and rewatch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Cool. That's really fascinating. It's good information to know. Thank you. Coco, it's interesting how many shows talk about gods and angels, American Gods, Cloud Atlas, God Atlas, Evangelion, meaning new beginning. Yes, it's very worth watching to the end. One of the last episodes reveals some deep esoteric concepts. Okay, thanks, Leaves of Grass. I'll give it another shot. Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm not quite feeling very good at the moment. And I think I've hit my limit. So, I don't, I would say company illumination. Okay. Hope you feel better. Thanks, Coco. It's not serious, it's just discomfort. Thanks, Natasha. Controlled remote viewing. I don't know what controlled remote viewing means, but like remote viewing, yeah, you can do remote viewing for sure. I don't know what you want my thoughts on specifically because it's kind of a broad topic. Thanks. It's been great to catch you on a live. I don't always do so from here in the UK. Thanks for joining. Journeyman, Leaves of Grass, 99, Natasha, Coco, Mantis. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for coming and for contributing and asking questions and making comments. And so next week, what we'll do is we'll watch Cloud Atlas and we'll talk about that. So if you're watching and you want to join in, watch the movie. Yes, hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.